The member for Melton.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. And of course, today I rise to contribute to the Special Investigator Repeal Bill 2023. Of course, we've just heard the contribution from the member for Malvern, and I can assure him this is not a protection racket. But he can use that sort of language and try and create this hysteria that the Liberal opposition do with most things in this state. So this is about the Office of the Special Investigator's job being done, and that's what this bill is about. Their job's been done, and it's about winding up that particular office. Deputy Speaker, as I'm the first speaker for the government side of the debate, I want to thank the Attorney-General's team and the Attorney-General herself for the thorough work that they've done on this legislation, and it is a result of a complete implementation of every one of the Royal Commission's recommendations, and I wanted to acknowledge that. I did think that in the member for Malvern's contribution that he was unfortunately slurring our current VicPol members and our legal and judicial members, and I think that's really unfortunate because I think our VicPol members do a wonderful job, and I'll come to it later in my electorate, but they do a fantastic job. And most of the legal and judicial members do a wonderful job. That doesn't mean to say that all industries don't have some people that obviously do not perform to the best. And that's even included in this chamber and in this parliament. So, I extend my thanks to our VicPol members and those that work in the legal and judicial system for the great work that they do, and in particular our VicPol members for keeping us safe in this state. Of course, in 2021, the Victorian Government stood up the Establishment Office of the Special Investigator as an independent statutory office, and its core purpose was to investigate potential criminal conduct and breaches of discipline related to the Victoria Police's use of Nicola Gobbo as a human source, and it came with a substantial financial commitment of over $25 million to fund it and its investigation. So, Deputy Speaker, this legislation before us today is to further ensure the future of the justice system, the accountability and we expect of them, increasing transparency and the responsible use of public resources within our legislation. And of course, earlier this year, our government made the significant decision based on careful evaluation and expert advice to wind down the OSI. And we're doing this, of course, because, as I said earlier, its job is done. Its purpose is fulfilled. It is no longer required. And we are grateful that Geoffrey Nettle, ACKC, and the special report presented to the public earlier this year in June that outlined that after thorough investigation expressed his views that given the Director of Public Prosecution's decision not to file criminal charges in relation to the cases presented, that the investigations into criminal actions and disciplinary investigations should cease, and the Office of the Special Investigator should be wound down along with any disciplinary investigations. So that was what Geoffrey Nettle had said. Of course, with disciplinary actions against people, you can't take disciplinary action against individuals, in particular the suggestion of taking disciplinary action against VicPol members if they no longer work for VicPol or any other respective agency, that the thought of taking disciplinary action, at least some disciplinary action, and as I say, it is impossible to do that when they no longer work there, when most of them have either retired or resigned. This bill is grounded in legal protocols and ethical considerations, and as I've mentioned, the complete implementation of the Royal Commission's recommendations. But of course, the Royal Commission has shown that every recommendation that has been made real, every recommendation has been borne out, and the changes have been done. And one of the things that the Royal Commission specifically rejected was the idea that the OSI should have prosecutorial powers, and I know that the member for Malvern was saying that he thought that the OSI should have. And again, I think we reinforce the fact that should an investigator prosecute the charges? And we would say no. So the independent prosecutor has had the benefit of reviewing all of the evidence and all of the issues and cannot prosecute with the likelihood of any conviction. And failing to get a conviction helps nobody. And one of the most important skills that the prosecutor has is the ability to assess whether or not a prosecution could lead to a conviction. And in every one of these cases, it was determined that this could not happen. And again, I think we have to show the respect to the DPP in regard to their judgment on that. Of course, the DPP clarified that while she didn't rule out the prospect of authorising future prosecutions, she needed strong, credible evidence to do so. So it's still left open in some of these issues that could happen. And depending on what potential briefs may come forward. And she would consider the merits of those briefs in regard to that. So the government's decision to decommission the Office of Special Investigator was a difficult but necessary one. And it was a decision rooted in the principle of upholding the law, ensuring fairness and respecting due process. And for those not familiar with the process of prosecution, once the investigator considers enough evidence has been gathered to substantiate a criminal charge, cases are presented to the DPP and again the DPP make the decision on whether to proceed with those matters. Of course, they're all assessed and with the determination that prosecutions should only proceed if there is a reasonable prospect of conviction and if it serves the public interest, which is in line with the Commonwealth prosecution requirements. And again, the DPP obviously found that those measures were not going to be met. Deputy Speaker, I would like to be clear about the briefs provided by the Office of the Special Investigator, the Independent Director of Public Prosecutions, with complete oversight of all of the evidence. The entire picture found no reasonable prospects of conviction, and that led them to decide not to file the charges. This decision was made following careful examination by that independent body and in accordance with the well-established legal procedures. And again, we saw much reporting of this in the media, and it doesn't matter what the media report or what the public think at the time, they do not have all the evidence before them, whereas the DPP did have all the evidence. And we have full confidence in the independence of the Department of Public Prosecutions. And of course, the speculation that has been made around the future DPP prosecutions is not appropriate, noting that it has not been ruled out. So the past 2 years has seen a large volume of records, some of which are quite sensitive. They've been created, and this bill makes provision for ensuring the safe carriage and preservation of them to the Department of Justice and Community Safety. And of course, all those records are required to be retained and will be, and be initially received by DJCS, and those determined to be worthy of preservation will be delivered to the Public Record Office of Victoria. Those records that do not fit the criteria of worthy will be appropriately disposed of according to the Development Retention and Disposal Authority. It was concluded that there was neither merit nor public interest in the OSI continuing its investigations without substantial grounds to establish relevant offences. And the recommendation 94 of the Royal Commission into the Management of Police Informants explicitly recommended that the Director of Public Prosecutions be the responsible for deciding whether to prosecute and for conduct of criminal proceedings arising from the Office of the Special Investigator's investigations. In my short time that I have left, I want to come back to thanking again the great VicPol members, in particular in my area of Melton, for keeping us safe and for the great work that they do. And I did visit them recently, and they are a fantastic group of people that we can rely upon. And as I say, not everyone in industries meet the standards, but I can tell you out my way, I'm very happy with my local VicPol workforce. And with a member of Koroit, we went out to Werribee last week, to the Werribee Police Station, and that's an amazing place and also amazing people that work there. This is an important bill. I obviously it'll be debated heavily. I don't agree with the opposition's position, but I do commend the bill to the House.
Order. Members' time.